Think of Easter and you think of the Circuit of Ireland, and that's why we're here at Temple Patrick just outside Belfast a little before 7 o'clock on Easter Saturday morning. 60 years ago the first Circuit of Ireland took place. We're casting our mind back over all those years, but also thinking more importantly of what lies ahead in this, the Diamond Jubilee event, the last to be sponsored by Bank of Ireland Finance, the last to be part of the British Open Championship. The competitors are setting off on 12 special stages that'll take them by a circuitous route to Killiney and South County Dublin tonight. But before they get there, they've got to get themselves together and set out on the route. Capturing the flavour and the atmosphere now, Alan Tyndall and Gary Gillespie.
Austin, what do you think of the stages?
Very good, Plum. I think they're about 60% of them will really suit the BMW. They're very yumpy and tight and twisty, and the other 40% is quick, you know, which will suit like say Bertie's Cosworth or the Subaru. So I think we maybe have a slight advantage this year on the stages for the normally aspirated engines. So provided it stays dry, if it gets wet, obviously the two-wheel drive cars will be left sitting. But
this is the one big one you've never won.
Yeah, obviously it's the one to win, and seeing that this is the 60th of the year, we'd definitely like to have a good cut of it this year, and we hope to do the business.
Well, Connolly, just a few moments to the off. How do you feel at a moment like this before the big one?
We're very nervous. I certainly am very nervous, and I know Tom is probably even worse condition. But we hope to treat it as any other rally, and with a bit of luck, you know, if things go as well for us as they did on our last event, we'd be very pleased.
The event's that short, really. You can't afford to take it easy, so you need to really go as fast as you can from the start. I'm sure everyone else will be.
I think it's probably the best budget we've had for a rally for a long, long time. We're around about almost 70% of the budget actually got for it, which is good, which means we're going to throw a few tyres at it and things like that this time.
The last time you were in this car, or what remained of this car, was upside down.
It was, but you know, that's 2 weeks ago, and this is a new rally, so we're not too concerned about that. You know, obviously I'll maybe be a little cautious over the first few jumps. But
obviously we're very disappointed here in Ireland at the low entry for the circuit this year, and particularly the low entry from across the water. What would you put it down to?
It's mainly the economic climate, pure and simple. The money is not around at the moment. We've got to try and encourage sponsors to come into the sport who haven't necessarily been in before. They may have to redefine their marketing objectives to do that, but we're trying very hard to do it.
22-year-old Colin McRae has just one objective as he leaves the start ramp, and that's to win the circuit. But with his ear protectors firmly in place, Bertie Fisher shows cool determination as he sets off for the first special stage. Austin McHale and Dermot O'Gorman will hope for a good performance in the BMW. James Cullen makes a welcome return to rallying, but may take a little while to settle in. There's a final friendly word for Group N champions Kenny McKinstry and Robbie Philpott and their Sierra. High hopes and great expectations aplenty. But for RTE presenter Michael Lester and driver Enda Nolan, the hopes will soon be shattered in a most unexpected twist of fate. And that even before they reach the first stage.
Could this be the dawning of another chapter in the McRae's Circuit of Ireland saga? Colin is a young professional in a very professional Pro-Drive Subaru. But the Irish Aces have other ideas. Fisher's RED prepared Cosworth is also state-of-the-art. And he, like his southern rival Austin McHale, is very keen to be clutching the BIF Bronze Trophy on Monday night. Also definitely in the equation, James Cullen and Ellen Morgan, who with the help of Autoglass have temporarily won the financial battle to stay at the top of this sport. Paul Franklin is a giant killer who could humble many of the mighty, and indeed an early riser. And now for the Group N contestants. Kenny McKinstry has driven Nuts Corner many times in rallycross, so co-driver Robbie Philpott can rest the larynx at stage 1. Mika Schallberg is a London-domiciled Finn, who has already won the opening round of the Shell Group N Championship. David Maslam has been a Group N winner on the circuit before, and he's one of a host of four-wheel drive Cosworths who will challenge McKinstry's two-wheel drive example. Bob Fowden is another. Number 16, Bill Connolly, in the BMW shows he means business. But there is no number 19. Enda Nolan and Michael Lister have not made it the 4 miles from the start. they are down the road cooling their heels in the custody of the RUC, having been arrested for speeding on the road. Liam O'Callaghan has not been so unfortunate. When the real rally starts at Moyrusk near Lisburn, there are others to consider. Frank Maher's many fans can't wait to see what the Cosworth will do for his career. It certainly did a lot for Richard Smith's just 12 months ago. But there's no time to waste, for next it's that popular spectator stage at the Balancing Lakes in Craigavon. It's still only 7:30 in the morning, yet hundreds have sacrificed their Easter Saturday lion to come to Craigavon and see the circuit start. This park is on Kenny McKinstry's doorstep, and the local legend is not only leading Group N, but he's also lying in 6th place overall. Kenny McKinstry and the Caliber Cosworth is impressive, but Colin McRae and the Subaru is out of sight. The Subaru on tarmac might have been a question mark yesterday, but today the opposition are looking for the answers. On the last stage, Fisher in the Tough Mac car lost his gear stick. And Austin McHale is now just 1 second behind. It's all rather predictable, as Cullen is 4th in the Independent Express. And Richard Smith is well aware that there are many dangerous places ahead of him this weekend, but that is not deterring the Belfast estate agent, as he is again starring on the circuit in 5th place overall. Gus Kearney has been a circuit regular for many years, but the Tipperary man's knowledge of Craigavon geography is a little bit suspect. Not as suspect as the late entry from England, Roger Davis, whose co-driver Tim Hobbs obviously didn't have time to check the pace notes. The circuit maestro, 7-times winner Jimmy McRae, waits for his son Colin to arrive at Granville service area near Dungannon. It's time to assess the first 3 stages on this very long high-speed journey.
Full day, about 20 seconds lead, I think. The stages have been quite slippy, and two of them were spectator stages, so they're really usually quite slippy. It's going well.
About 2.5 miles into stage 2, the gear stick came out of the coupling at the top of the gearbox, and unfortunately we were in neutral at the time, and the car virtually coasted near enough to a stop, I suppose, before I was able to get the gear stick back in position, and I had to hold my hand down on top of the gear stick then for the remainder of the stage just to make sure it wouldn't come out again, so obviously I lost a bit of time there.
Now it's Fisher's Little and Large. This is Bertie's nephew Alistair, all dressed up just like Uncle Bertie. Austin McHale's lack of practice has caused him problems.
There in that last stage, we didn't do any recce on it, so we're a bit down on that, but apart from that, we found the second stage a bit slippy for the 2-wheel drive, but we're happy where we're lying at the moment, and if we can keep everything together the way it is, we'd be happy enough.
But just look at Colin McRae's advantage over the rest, 9.28 seconds. That's just about a second a mile. Fisher in 2nd place and 1 second behind him, Austin McHale. Then James Cullen a little bit further adrift, and Richard Smith in a very creditable 5th.
Special Stage 4 is the first of the really punishing tests in the Sperrin Mountains, but McRae's Subaru continues to dominate. Fisher's chosen a pattern tyre to cope with the gravel, but is regretting it as he drops more time to the young Scot. All eyes are on the hard-charging Austin McHale, who's now moved up to 2nd place ahead of Fisher. James Cullen is 4th, even though he admits to feeling a little rusty. Frank Maher shows that a new Sierra can be just as entertaining as an old Escort. But Group N leader McKinstry is feeling the effects of a serious clutch problem. Inside the McHale BMW, Dermot O'Gorman calls the notes on this treacherous 9.5-mile stage. And the special front bumper camera shows just how fast high-speed rallying is.
Absolute bump, dip maybe 150. Absolute crest. Absolute crest at pole and absolute crest maybe 250. Slight left over crest and absolute straight crest 200. Turn very fast square right. Very fast square right. 100.
In the battle for Group N, David Maslin hopes to capitalise on McKinstry's clutch crisis, while others, like Donald Bowens, just want to make it round the next corner in one piece. As the battle rages over Barnes Gap, Colin McRae and Derek Ringer continue to leave the others trailing in their dusty wake. No matter how hard he tries, Fisher's four-wheel drive Sierra can't match the four-wheel drive Subaru. Austin McHale arrives at speed, but even he is some 17 seconds slower than McRae over these 11 miles. James Cullen and Ellen Morgan lock the rear wheels in their distinctive pink Sierra. A missing rear bumper shows they've been trying hard too. The gap between McKinstry and his Group N rivals is narrowing all the time. That faulty clutch will have to be changed at the next service. Mind you, from this angle, the Banbridge man looks as quick as ever.
60, 2 left over jump, into 2 left over crest, 40, 2 right over bad bump, into 3 right, and flat crest, 80.
Bill Connolly in the Experty Fisher BMW shows the strain of rally driving as he tries to regain 8th place. Stephen Murphy is the man ahead of him, in spite of some damage to the brakes on a big jump. Richie Healy's Sierra has developed a worrying misfire. Down near the end of the stage now, with McKinstry and Philpott, 11 miles closer to that clutch change, and the finish sign just can't come soon enough.
Into 2 left, 80. Kerr, 3 left, 60, 3 left and 4 right. 80. Danger, 3 right and bad dip. 40, crest, 80. 1 right over crest, into 2 left, maybe over crest. Into dip, into crest, into 3 right.
So after 7 of today's 12 stages, it's McRae and the Subaru at the top, chased by Austin McHale and the BMW, and then the Cosworth clan, Fisher, Cullen and Marr. But there's plenty more action to come. Dorchan Forest is a beautiful backdrop as rally leader Colin McRae makes an almost leisurely arrival in service. Second placed Austin McHale also weaves his way through the many rally fans.
Austin, it seems your earlier prediction has come to pass. Things have gone your way.
Yeah, George, we're holding second at the moment, and unfortunately the last few stages there's been a lot of loose after the snowy conditions there over the winter. There's been a lot of gravel and sand on the stages, and with the two-wheel drive we've been dropping a bit of time with that. But Colin is going very well, and I think it's just the development that's been done on the present Group A rally car at the moment. We're dropping back a bit, but we're still holding second there at the moment.
But you have been driving faster than Bertie.
Yeah, Bertie's been dropping a bit of time. He obviously had a fairly big shunt in West Cork, which wouldn't have helped his confidence at the moment, but you know, he's there, he's maybe 10, 12 seconds a stage where he's dropping us at the moment, but I wouldn't rule him out or anything like it at the moment. He'd be there.
There's feverish activity in the Calibre camp as McKinstry's crew set about repairing the problems which have caused the Sierra to drop so much time.
Kenny, what is the problem here that you have to get onto the bonnet yourself?
We're just trying to change a clutch in the car. We've only 20 minutes to do it.
Minor detail?
It takes about half an hour for the exhaust to take off, gearbox to take out, and then the bell housing. So, and everything's stinking hot in here. So, we're just going to have to slum it for a while. 3 stages ago, the problem started with the car. We've been just starting the car on the key on the start line. So, this was the only chance that we had. We had like 20 minutes to do the job, you know. So, well, hopefully.
Will you make it?
I think so. I think so. Keep it fingers crossed.
One man's clutch problem is another man's advantage. Bob Fiden reviews the options.
Bob, Kenny is having problems, as you're probably aware. Does that encourage you to drive that bit harder?
No, we're taking it very easy. This is a long rally, and it's the last 4 stages will be very, very bumpy. So the idea is to go reasonably slow. I know Kenny's having trouble, but it's also making him drive faster as well, because he's a very good driver when he has trouble. He seems to go quicker when he's got trouble than when he hasn't. But we're in there with a chance, I think.
How has it been for you so far?
Very slow. We've had no problems with the car. I'm not driving quickly enough due to the conditions of the road and the bumps and the jumps and things. Tomorrow we'll go a lot quicker, and the day after then quicker again.
McKinstry makes it out of service and on to stage 8. But did he do it within the allotted 20 minutes? Only time and the rally officials will tell. But if he is late, then a penalty will have to be paid. Meanwhile, it's on with the action, and there's a chance to make up for lost time. That's the Peugeot of English driver Roger Davis, which is rapidly being overhauled.
The entry may be small, but the enthusiasm in the Oma area for the BIF Circuit of Ireland is enormous. This is the first time that the ProDrive Subaru Legacy has been seen in this country, and the strangely flat sound of its 16-valve 4-camshaft engine is very deceptive. In their pursuit of this new supercar, the Irish challenge is getting a bit ragged. And to the delight of the crowd, McHale is throwing his car round like an old Escort. Later on that stage, McHale would have problems, but it's nothing to Bertie. He's in bigger bother. He now admits to a confidence problem after the Cork accident, and he's slipping back into the clutches of the older Cosworth, which in James Cullen's hands has had a bit of involuntary rear-end lightning. Now watch this for style. Frank Maher's move into the modern machinery is going very well. He's 5th now at the expense of Richard Smith. This is another Cosworth on the climb, Stephen Murphy's Tegral-sponsored version. And his spectacular antics head that other driver from the southeast, Bill Connolly, in the BP Manta, by a mere 3 seconds. David Maslam, unlucky not to win Group N in the Torkland Rally, is putting things to right here. He's now 14 seconds lead over Bob Fowden, who also makes full use of the 4-wheel drive on these dusty lanes. The troubled McKinstry follows, now 24 seconds adrift in the category. With a healthy car, it would not be a worry for Kenny, but Kenny is a worried man. And here's the new boys in the top Group N class, Liam O'Callaghan and James O'Brien, who are lying 4th in the category. Paul Frankland has not had a happy day. First of all, he's adjusted the suspension, and now he's complaining of gearbox problems. Another unhappy man, Mikko Solberg, who admits to not being in the rhythm in the V4 Galant. Now the real hard luck stories. This is the last time we will see Richie Healy and Jim Crow. They retire at the end of this stage. And immediately behind Michael O'Leary's Cosworth is Richard Smith, who sadly will retire with engine problems also at the end of the stage. Ed Colton has gone back to the 205 body shape for his rallying Peugeot, and he shows us the quick way round the junction. Roger Davis gives us the alternative method. But still, the Englishman doesn't lose much time. Merrick Toom is the only surviving Samara from Estonia, his fellow countryman Raul Vik having retired with mechanical problems. His many Irish backers must be delighted with his progress. He's 24th overall.
Half a mile up from there. Can you come out with the fuel pump, please?
Yes, we'll do. Starting out now.
Dilys Rogers calls for roadside assistance in her stricken 205 Peugeot. And the problem? Driver Jeremy Barnes isn't quite sure.
We thought it was a fuel problem, but or electrical problem, but we seem to have everything we should have, but nothing seems to want to work.
Meanwhile, everything is working to the limits in the Subaru Legacy as Colin McRae maintains his remorseless charge. A couple of stages ago, Fisher's 3rd place was under threat, but over the last 2 stages, he's looked more secure. Austin McHale is attempting to keep the gap between himself and McRae as narrow as possible before tomorrow's stages in the south. It's a question of going as fast but as safely as possible.
Absolute 250, absolute straight crest 100, absolute crest 150, but wide left narrow. 70, fast left and sharp left, repeat, fast and sharp left. Medium right, fast left, easy right, 70, sharp left and right.
James Cullen's times have been getting better as the day has gone on. There's no time to take in the sights for Paul Franklin in a fast-moving Peugeot 309. Mika Solberg may not be troubling the front runners, but at least he's still there and in 14th place. Frank Maher's long-awaited upgrading to Cosworth Power is proving a great success. David Maslin in the Group N car is 4 places behind him in 9th position. While Bob Foden, who said he was driving slowly today, is 10th. Meanwhile, the restored Sierra of Kenny McKinstry is once again leading Group N. He's not only the man to catch, he's also the man who catches others. This time, it's the unfortunate Frank Fennell who falls by the wayside. Spectacular stuff here from Michael O'Leary and John Crone. And surprising stuff from Richard Smith. Reports of his retirement were obviously greatly exaggerated. Marek Tum from Estonia seems to be enjoying his first taste of Irish rallying in his Lada Samara.
We're now at the Hillgrove Hotel in Monaghan. 10 stages of the 1991 circuit have been completed, and it's turning into a story of family dominance, you could say. Colin McRae is threatening to go 2 minutes ahead. Yes, sizable lead at this stage in the event. You're talking about 2-0 after 20 minutes in a football match, or 3 up after 6 holes in a round of golf. Well, I'm sure Colin plays neither football nor golf, but he's certainly a dab hand at driving a rally car. Now tell me about how it's gone so far.
It's going very well. We didn't think we'd be going this quick at the start. We started fairly quickly, but like Bertie had a few problems, and the stages have been very slippy, so Austin's been struggling with 2-wheel drive. But you know, the car's been going really well, and the times have been good.
So it's just a question here of sort of polishing the windscreen and making sure the nuts are tight.
Well, it's not too good in the situations like that. You're always waiting for something to go wrong, but it's going really well.
I was making comparisons there with other sports, but how do you keep yourself on top, given that only 10 stages have gone, really? There's quite a bit to go.
Well, I ride a lot of bikes, motocross bikes and trials bikes, and, you know, anything that's got an engine in it. I'm not very good at football.
See, your dad's with you all the way around, Jimmy. Any words of advice from him, or does he just keep a watching brief?
No, he just keeps quiet in the background.
We're second at the moment. We're, I think, a minute and 30 seconds behind Colin McRae, who is really going well in the Subaru. We're, I think, 39 seconds ahead of Bertie Fisher, and hopefully the stages now will, as they get a bit cleaner going down towards the south, should help us a bit more, because the four-wheel drives won't have that big advantage then.
Yeah, well, we're gradually, I suppose, settling down with the car. We're finding it quite a little bit nervous just over the bumps, and I'm not really committing myself with the car. Just getting it, find it difficult to just have enough confidence to really push it, you know. But it's coming together, and obviously there's still a long way to go in the rally yet.
I noticed there is a little bit of alteration been made to the bodywork.
Yeah, we had a spin on some of the loose dust or the gravel on, I think, stage 6 it was, and we touched a soft bit of a bank, and we're quite lucky actually to get away with it, but it's not too bad.
Nothing that's going to hold you back?
No, I don't think so, no.
Last time we featured your car, there was a clutch being changed, I think. How have things been since then?
Things haven't improved greatly since then. We did change a clutch and a pressure plate as well, but we still seem to be left with exactly the same problem. The car won't go into gear for us unless we actually stop the car and put it in gear. It's causing us a lot of problems on the start line, because we must start the car on the key to actually get moving off the start line. We drop a lot of time because of that.
And you've dropped time on the road as well?
We've dropped about 1 minute and 30 seconds, which, if you take it that we had just over 30 seconds of a lead in Group N to begin with, it dropped us back 1 minute behind to about probably 5th in Group N, but we're back up now to about 3rd and less than 20 seconds off the Group N lead again.
We're going well. We had a couple of spins. We're 5th overall, and we're happy with the car now the way it is.
You've sorted things out?
Yeah, everything seems to be good. We get the feel of the car. It's a bit gravelly yet down south, but as soon as we get over these next 2 stages, it should be a good day tomorrow.
Because of the Group A regulations, we've had to run very narrow tyres on the car, and it's causing us some bother. In that we get a maximum of 9 inches, and the Sierras can run 10 inches rubber. So I think we've only about 8.5 with the Pirelli tyre that's suitable. And we've had to run second-hand tyres because they're made specially for the BMWs, and the Pirelli tyres are gone scarce now in Europe. So it's working out. They're cheaper anyway.
So Colin fires the Subaru over the brow for the last stage of the day to come to Dunleary with exactly 2 minutes in hand. Fisher and McHale continue to fight it out for Irish honours, with the Dubliner now 1 minute ahead of the Tough Mac car. Both are hovering behind their Celtic rivals should anything falter. James Cullen will be happy to be within 30 seconds of the RED prepared Sapphire. And Frank Maher will be equally pleased to be within a minute of Cullen as the new member of the Cosworth Club. Bill Connolly and Tom Meany are now ahead of Stephen Murphy as the BP BMW moves up. And obviously his pursuit of the Cosworth has rattled the Carlow man. Kenny McKinstry's drive to lead Group N into Dunleary has been one of the highlights of the late afternoon, and he's not been easy on the car. "19-year-old Mark Higgins, navigated by his mother Christine, leads the 1300 Group A class. And Martin Taylor and Peter Quinn lead the national section of the rally. And in the exotic historics, it's Brian Powley's Porsche 911. And Mervyn Johnson and Drexel Gillespie are having an epic battle of yesteryear.
Okay, Austin, that's day one out of the way. Are you well set?
Yes, George, we're happy enough. It's been a good day. The last few stages there have gone fairly well over them, and the first one across the border, I think Colin got us by a second. We got 14 off Bertie. We're happy with that. And we got another 5 off Bertie on the last one. So keep our fingers crossed now that everything will be okay tomorrow, and hope that it doesn't rain. But looking at the sky tonight, I think it'll be a wet day tomorrow, which won't suit the two-wheel drive car, but we'll wait and see.
A bit relieved to get this far with the car, you know, but yeah, we've had a sort of a fraught sort of a day, really. We have been doing something to the suspension for every stage, really, since stage 4. And the car starting to come a bit better, but you know, it's got a little way to go yet before we can stay with the Subaru or even stay with Austin and the BMW. You know?
Is there anything that might happen or would need to happen for you to get in there and really mount a serious challenge?
Yeah, probably there is at this stage, yes, but I've been a long time in rallying, and I know that's always a possibility, you know, but it can happen to me or it can happen to someone else, you know.
I think tomorrow is quicker. The better stages tomorrow, they're a cleaner stage, and you know, we'll have to wait and see, but that Subaru, I think, is ProDrive have really got together at the moment. It's a supercar by the looks of things.
Tomorrow's stages are certainly, I think, smoother than what we've been on today, although they are quite narrow and natury, and you know, there was quite a bit of dust and so on when we recce'd there last week, although apparently they may have cleaned up a bit with the dry weather during the week, you know.
And that's how it looks at the end of day one, with Colin McRae a convincing leader. 2 minutes the margin over Austin McHale. But look at all those Irish names. 8 of the top 10 are Irish, and Bertie Fisher is handily placed should there be a slip ahead of him. Look too at Frank Maher, young Frank Maher, a creditable 5th in this, his first Circuit of Ireland. They start again in the morning at 7, setting out on 8 special stages consisting of 60 stage miles in counties Carlow and Kilkenny before they end up again back in the borough for another half-night sleep.
never know what's round the bend in rallying. Burren River, south of Carlow, is the Easter Sunday opener. And here comes the leader. Just 1 mile into this 8-mile stage, he's got a puncture, and this puts a very different complexion on things. As action man McHale arrives, in the Tipperary Crystal BMW, he's on a real chase. Fisher in third still lacks confidence and is trying all kinds of different suspension settings. But a lack of confidence is not something that is obvious with James Cullen. Aboard the BMW, there is now a real chance to close the previously impenetrable gap between McRae and McHale, and Austin is taking full advantage of it. We now go inside the ailing Subaru for the first time, and co-driver Derek Ringer is using his authority to cool his young driver's excitement in order to preserve the car.
3 left, opens into 4 right, tightens, and 3 left. Very steady, we'll get this to the end, into 3 right minus 50, 6 left over crest, 150, 4 left minus.
McHale is on the tight centre section of the stage and relentlessly closing on his rival. But it's rough country, and of course he is unaware of the Scottish crew's problems. Now the tyre comes off the rim completely. The Legacy is receiving a dreadful pounding.
6 left over crest, 300. 6 left over long crest.
Can the suspension possibly survive these vibrations?
Turn 2 left. Turn 2 left. 30.
Our cameras are actually in Stephen Murray's front gate, and an anxious wife peers over the fence as hubby flashes by. McKinstry's anxiety attack has passed. His car is now very healthy. It's his English rival Maslam's turn now to hit problems, as a puncture will soon slow him. Richard Smith has a lot of ground to make up, but there's still a long way to go, and Franklin in the Peugeot has accepted that a class win is likely to be the most he can take out of Ireland this weekend. Fowden is back in 12th. He lost a lot of time last night, but he's still 4th in Group N. And Ed Colton in the Peugeot is gushing gasoline. So Dominic McNeil leads us back into the in-car action towards the end of the stage. Austin is now very close to McRae. And there's the Subaru ahead. And it looks like he's made it intact, but with a deficit of 50 seconds.
On stage 14, the now familiar pattern continues, with McRae's lead barely dented by that puncture. But Austin McHale is flirting with disaster on the approach to a big jump, and only just gets away with it. The rear wheel actually clipped the ditch, but the BMW appears unscathed. Although Fisher is happier with the Cosworth's handling now, a spin on this stage will cost him a few more seconds. James Cullen is really getting the power down now. Co-driver Ellen Morgan is keeping her head down. Frank Marr seems to be going well, but has diff and power steering problems.
In the long 4 right, in the danger, crest and 5 right.
Good pace notes are
right
vital,
and
and
right.
Robbie Philpott has words of warning
Crest,
for
3
Kenny
left.
McKinstry.
60, 1 left over crest into 2 right, mud, 40, danger, danger, crest 6 left, double tightens.
The County Down crew avoid a long walk home, but Stephen Murphy hasn't been so fortunate.
6 right, 30, 5 left. Into 1 left and 1 right. Into caution, 2 left over crest and 4 right. Into 3 left over jump, 40.
Bill Connolly has a major scare coming up. The oil pressure appears to have dropped. All he can do is hope for the best. Here's the McKinstry
40,
approach to the
gravel,
same junction,
4 left.
with the view from inside and outside the car. Liam O'Callaghan blows up a storm with dust clouds more suited to the safari rally. Mika Solberg's Mitsubishi is showing signs of damage to one of the rear panels. While near the end of the stage, the McHale bumper camera again shows the speed of rallying at this level.
Slight right, 100. Slight right, quick left, 150. Easy left, very fast right, loose. Very fast right, loose. 130. Quick right, easy left, finish, easy left. That's it.
The mother and son team is still going swiftly. Mark and Christina Higgins Suzuki is an amazing 16th overall. And there's a special Carlo welcome for Soviet driver Marek Tum, but his 20th place is a long way behind the success of the man waiting for the rally leader back in the service area.
Now, we've already asked Colin this question, what advice does his father give him, and he sort of laughed it off, but do you get involved?
Well, I try, if more or less just to remind them that the Circuit of Ireland's a very, very difficult event, and sometimes I think when you think you've got it in the bag, it can bite back, and well, like what you had in the first stage this morning, a puncture, you need so much concentration.
So what would you be saying to him when he comes in here now to Kilkenny?
Well, I think I said last night, it's just as difficult to stay in front for 2 days as it is to fight for it, and you've got to really keep your concentration up.
And as Colin and Derek arrive, there is another flat tyre, but this one is not the one that caused the problems on stage 13.
Yeah, it was only about a mile in, we got caught out in a very quick few corners into a tight left-hander, and then the back of the car slid round and hit the bank, and I think it just knocked the tyre off the rim.
So you ran the stage with the tyre off the rim?
We ran about 6 or 7 miles with the tyre off, and Austin just caught us right at the end of the stage.
The danger then, of course, is suspension damage.
It was actually okay because the stage was fairly smooth. There wasn't so many bumps, so the car was just sort of riding along on the rim. It wasn't, there wasn't a lot of pressure on it.
So the Subaru seems to have completely survived this scare, and there's even time for a family photograph of the McRae family. But there are others in bother, like Bill Connolly.
Well, we pulled into the passage control after the Gary Hill stage, and I noticed that the oil pressure was down at about 20 pounds. And I gave the car a small bit of a rev, and normally it comes up to 60, 70 pounds, and we had no response. So we met our service crew, and we got Paddy Munnelly to open the pipe, and he kept his thumb on it, and it threw oil out anyway, so he couldn't keep his thumb on the pipe, so we were trying to regulate how much pressure that was.
The oil pressure seems okay, and so is Paddy's thumb, I'm glad to report. There is more talk of punctures, this time with McHale. Austin, you made up a bit of time this morning.
Yeah, there in the first stage, Colin dropped a bit of time, he got a puncture. So we got something about 50 seconds back on him, and but unfortunately then we had to punch ourselves in the last one, or a slow puncher, and we went off on the last one. We dropped a bit of time again, but that's the way the rally is going. It's up and down, and there's still a long way to go. It's not even half over yet, so the main thing is keep the car in good shape and not have any to go off or have any major problems.
We've just had a problem with the rear differential, which we've had to change. We've also had problems with the power steering. We've had to change an oil pipe on that. And that broke at the start of the last stage and delayed us for a wee while on the stage, but other than that, things are okay.
You're going to make it in time, Frank?
Yeah, we hope so. All we have to do now is just fit the sump guard. The power steering pipe broke, and we just changed the back axle, and the 2 bolts were sheared on the back axle as well. Oh, probably from the yumps yesterday evening, I'd say. But hopefully we'll be back in action now. We just repaired the power steering pipe temporary, but we hope to last.
It's a frantic time amongst the Maher mob, and there's a huge job list and no time to complete it.
Frank, into the car. Come on, into the car.
Come on, lads, come on.
You want the jack top?
Come on.
Now the jack seems to be stuck, so manpower is mobilized to bring the Sierra back to Earth, as it will shortly be speeding across the Earth at alarming pace, unfortunately without all its faculties. This important-looking pool of fluid is from the power steering system. It's not the lifeblood of the Cosworth, but it's going to make the beast very hard to manage. The progress in 2 years rally development by ProDrive is graphically illustrated in the first two cars. McRae, seen here on stage 15, eases out another 13 seconds over Mikhail's ex-ProDrive BMW, and you can't drive an M3 much quicker than this. Bertie Fisher is happier on his latest suspension setting. But James Cullen has been matching his times all day, and he's only 29 seconds behind. Frank Maher, now with our power steering, is finding his Cosworth a real handful. Here's a very relieved Bill Connolly. The engine sounds sweet, and the oil pressure reads fine. But next up is a man who's suffered dearly in his own homeland. Stephen Murphy, as we saw, was not only off the road on the last stage, but he was also hit by Solberg's car. McKinstry started today with a slender 12-second lead in Group N. Now it's over 2 minutes.
Two right, maybe, 60. One right, 60. Crest and two left, maybe, 60. One left and right into two right, maybe, into one left, 60.
Spirits are high in the Caliber car on this County Carlow stage.
100. Crest 40, 5 right. Repeat, crest 40, 5 right.
Richard Smith is sandwiched between the Group N Sapphires of McKinstry and Maslam in 8th place. And here is David Maslam. He has no answer to McKinstry's pace at present. Sadly, we say goodbye to Liam O'Callaghan, who will retire before the end of the stage with gearbox trouble. He's been as high as 9th. Kanturk will be in mourning. Gus Kearney leads the 1600 Group A cars. Ian Calvin the 1600 Group Ns. And Mark Higgins is literally on his own in the 1300 Group N class. All are in the top 20. With just over half the stages completed in the BIF Circuit of Ireland, there has been remarkable little change in the top 4. In fact, they've been exactly the same since the start. Kenny McKinstry and Robbie Philpott have consolidated their position in Group N. In fact, they're in very high spirits, humbling many of the Group A cars.
We did well there. Fisher only took 4 off us on that. We beat Connolly by 8 seconds, beat Murphy by 12 seconds. I knew that was quick by the way we were going.
It may be the middle of the day, but there are no thoughts of Sunday lunch in Barrack Village when the circuit comes to town. It's simply a question of finding the best view. McRae's four-wheel drive Subaru is supposed to be good in the wet. It's not too bad in the dry either. McHale is flat out on a long straight with a sudden end. But it's okay, no real harm done there.
Quick left, 70. Right left, 130. Sharp left, 100. Brake early, towards square left, brake early.
James Cullen and Ellen Morgan continue to catch the eye in their pink Sierra. Frank Maher hasn't put a mark on his new Cosworth, and he doesn't want to start now. Stephen Murphy is back on the road, but the car is showing the strain. The McKinstry, Philpott, Cosworth combination is really starting to motor now. Here's Kenny in full flow.
60. Crest and turn 7 left, gravel. Into left, into 2 right and 3 right. And 3 right into 3 left, maybe. Into 2 left. Repeat, into 2 left, maybe. And 3 right. And 3 left, tightens mud. And 3 right on bad mud. into 3 left and 2 right and 2 right.
A flash of white, a cloud of dust. It must be Mika Solberg. And here's young Mark Higgins getting over exuberant on the corner. His mum won't like that.
As the stage miles clock up, so does McRae's advantage. But behind the legacy, Austin McHale will not give in. He may be 2 minutes down on the legacy, but he's 1.5 minutes up on Fisher. Amongst the Irish, it's an enthralling battle for the fans. All the top men who left Belfast at dawn yesterday morning are still in it. But by the end of this stage, we will have our first major retirement, and sadly, it's Frank Maher. He will lose his battle against his mechanical woes, but he has admirably proved his ability in a Cosworth. This moves Bill Connolly up to 5th. Stephen Murphy has a much greater task to make up his lost ground. He's 15th, now 14 minutes behind his Group A rivals. Solberg's four-wheel steering is only working on 3 due to a puncture. And here's Trevor Cathers in 13th place in a Group N Honda. I'm sure this marshal is more used to receiving the whistles. Anyway, whistling along in 15th place, it's Gus Kearney and Pat O'Shea. Michael O'Leary has not shown the pace we saw in Killarney, yet he's still 5th in Group N and 15th overall. And Merrick Toome in the BSS Comac Adapt and Tipperary Crystal Back Ladder is 2nd in his class. The Estonian is good to watch. And here's Alan Jardine's daffodil-decked Maxall Toyota, which is raising money for combat cancer as it progresses on the circuit. Franz Fohling is now the only surviving German entrant. And the reason that we haven't seen much of John Carroll is that the bonnet of his Opel lifted on one of yesterday's stages and smashed the windscreen.
At Kilkenny Service, second time around, there's some urgent work going on in the McHale camp. The car has been incredibly noisy over the last stage, and the trouble appears to come from the exhaust. The McHale crew chief gives us the lowdown.
Well, we've broken the exhaust manifold now over some of the bumps, and the noise in the car is so Austin can't hear on the intercom, so we're just going to replace that now and general check over. Everything else seems to be going grand. Things are running very hot.
There are ominous signs of impending doom on Stephen Murphy's Sierra. It's a very bad radiator problem.
It's causing us a few problems, all right. It's overheating up to about 100. I'm afraid that we'll blow a head gasket or something, you know. It's just a nightmare now at this stage.
Make it to Carlo, back home.
Well, it's an awful crying shame on your own stage this morning to not have revs. I couldn't rev past 5,000 revs, you know, so that's embarrassing really in one way, but we're here and hopefully we'll get to the end.
It's routine maintenance only for the Group N leader. The new clutch cable has given Kenny a new lease of life.
We have now got, I think, 1.5 minutes of a lead in Group N. So, you know, Richard Smith would be probably 5 or 6 seconds behind us, but he's in a Group A car, so I think we'll let him go.
Perfectly executed. James, lying 4th overall. How are you doing now?
Not too bad at all. With a good roll run around the last ones. We're very, very slippery in the gravel, and we've got a few seconds back of Bertie in the gravel, which we're pleased about. So we're keeping the pressure on him, and you never know what will happen.
It's hungry work being a rally fan, and a burger piled high with onions is just the thing to keep the crowds happy as they wait for the action to start. And it's a nerve-wracking time too, wondering if your particular favourite will make it this far. Back at the sharp end, the cars continue to navigate the Carlow and Kilkenny stages. It's all too easy to be lulled into a false sense of security. The status quo has remained for the last 18 stages. The first 4 have been so committed that it's easy to forget they're competing at the very limits of adhesion. Austin McHale's daring will be remembered for years as he attempts to fight against the advancing tide of rally technology. but his efforts are increasingly bringing him closer to the brink. That's not the first time this weekend that the Dublin driver has flirted with disaster, and it may also not be the last. The smattering of mud across a junction can spell the difference between success and failure. James Cullen is another who has displayed both courage and commitment this weekend. But then neither quality has ever been in doubt. Bill Connolly has waged a fight in the face of adversity. His lack of suitable tyres for the BMW has been a major handicap all weekend. Stephen Murphy, grimly determined to make up for earlier disappointments and give his home fans something to shout about. Others were less fortunate. Michael O'Leary made it to stage 19 before the Sierra's transmission finally expired. All down the field there have been terrific drives and terrific drivers, like Ian Calvin, prepared to push themselves and their cars to the edge in the name of their motorsport. On the very next stage, McHale's commitment to the pursuit of McRae again takes the BMW into the danger zone. And once again, he drives away, virtually unscathed.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 30, 3 left and 4 right, 30, 4 left and 2 right plus. And
Stage 21,
left,
the final 8
70,
competitive miles in a very long day. Yet a day that so far has changed little at the top. Aboard the Subaru with Colin McRae and Derek Ringer on the notes, there's an air of confidence, as this is the second time over the stage. But conditions can change dramatically.
And 6 left. 70, 5 left and 5 right and 2 left plus. And 3 right plus, 70. 5 left, 150. 2 right, gravel. And 2 left, opens, 50. Crest and 3 right plus, 70. 3 right, gravel, 70. 3 left, into. 3 left plus, and 5 right, 30, mud, 2 right plus. Keep reversing. Think it's okay? Got about 4 miles to go. It's 5 left plus 100, 2 right plus.
It's just after 5 o'clock on special stage 21, Ballyfoyle, the second time the competitors have been this way today, but significantly only one of them has passed us here. Colin McRae, the leader, clearly had some kind of accident in the village, which is about a mile back up the stage. He staggered on through, but since then, about 8 minutes ago, there's been nothing. No Bertie Fisher, no Austin McHale, nobody.
And here's the reason why. We are on the exact piece of road that has caught out Colin McRae, but this time with Austin McHale and Dermot O'Gorman.
200. Caution, very fast right and left long. A big caution. And left long. 70, straight crest, quick right. 70, mud, quick right. 100. Quick left, 70. Water in very fast right. Very fast right. 150.
So severe has been the impact that it has cut out our power. Austin McHale explains.
Basically, we've been following Colin all day, and he went off on the last stage, and unfortunately we were directly behind him. He went down into the ditch and he pulled a lot of mud up onto the road, and when we came round the corner previous to that, was about a 70-metre braking area. So as soon as we came round the corner, we were onto the mud that he had taken out, and the car, we just understeered down into the bank then, because we couldn't stop, obviously, with all the mud and dirt on the road. So we went straight on into the bank, and we damaged the front suspension. We got wedged then between the two banks. There's no spectators around, so we couldn't get the car out, and we had to wait till Bertie was the next car down the stage. So then Dermot had to go up and block him, because he would have ran into the same predicament as I did after where Colin brought out the mud.
We catch up with this dramatic story in the Carlow service area, where there is considerable confusion. Even competitive liaison officer Austin Fraser is not quite sure of the situation.
Everybody getting in here is having a time. The stewards will obviously have a lot of decisions to make this evening, and no decisions certainly are being taken at this point in time.
At 8:30 tonight, the crews returned to Park Fermé at Killiney Castle, and all the talk was about the dramatic events at Ballyfoyle, the damage and the doubts. First of all, Colin McRae.
We broke the wheel and bent the steering, but it's all been sorted out now, so there's no problem.
So you're optimistic for tomorrow?
Yes, we've got quite a good margin in Bertie now. It's about 4 minutes, so we can back off a bit tomorrow and make sure we get to the end.
Well, you know, I think at the minute that we're probably just still in third place, because the fact that the stage has been cancelled. If Austin got out of the stage, then I don't see any reason why he shouldn't have. He can get his car fixed and won't have lost any time.
Very difficult day. The stages once again proved very difficult. They were very slippery this afternoon, with a lot of gravel being pulled out. There were gravelly stages to begin with. It made it quite exciting at times, I can tell you.
But you weren't involved in any of the drama on the final stage?
Well, we had our own little dramas as we went around, but the stage was blocked actually when we arrived. We were just behind Bertie, the next car behind Bertie and Austin, so the incident just had happened as we come round, you know.
So you really don't know where you stand?
As far as I know, we're third at the moment, like, you know, but it all depends on the deliberations that will take place tonight.
Richard, there were a few do-it-yourself repairs yesterday. Anything as dramatic today?
Well, we've changed one gearbox, but we also had a problem on stage 18, big jump over a bridge, and when we landed we broke the strap that held the battery in. So the battery fell out and it was rolling around in the boot for a while, so the car cut out a few times in that stage. We lost maybe 10 or 15 seconds, but apart from that, nothing too dramatic.
20 minutes later came the men at the centre of the speculation. Austin McHale and Dermot O'Gorman. Austin in reflective mood as damage to the BMW is assessed. Whatever else may have been broken, the bumper camera is unscathed. But can the BMW continue in the morning?
We can continue. We're still second, and we have a bit of work to do maybe in the car in the morning. It's not handling exactly right at the moment, but we're still second, and I think there's some place around 3 minutes or under 3 minutes, but you know, there's still another third of the rally left, and everything's still to go for.
It's 14 hours since I last stood here at the start of the second day of the circuit, and what an eventful day we've had. And it's not over yet, for the deliberations are still going on, and it'll be late in the night before officials have decided what to do about the events on stage 21. It's just after 6 o'clock on a blustery Easter Monday morning on Marine Road in Dunleary, but already there's been life in this rally. Cars have been leaving the hotel car park in Killiney since about 5:45, but one that didn't make it and now lies forlornly up there is car number 4, that of Austin McHale. After his problems yesterday and the meeting of the stewards late into the night, it was decided that, in line with international regulations, Austin McHale will be given a time for that final stage yesterday. That time put him in 30th place overall, and Austin has declined to run in that position, not least because of the safety implications, for at that level many of the cars in front of him would be considerably slower than he would be. So the rally continues, but sadly for Austin McHale, it's over. Some withdrawals, but many still going, and Gordon Webster's one of those. Now, what's in this rally for you still?
Very little, but a good finish, that's all we want at the moment.
And where are you lying overall?
29th, as far as I can gather at the moment.
So if Austin had been running, you'd have been ahead of him?
Well, he's behind us if he was. It'd be bad news for us. We'd sooner have him in front.
Would it have been safe, though, to have him running in 30th position?
No, definitely not.
Go. Today, the remaining competitors head out for 8 more stages in Dublin, Wicklow and Kildare, including the special spectator stage in Mondello Park. And even at this early stage, the exhausts are roaring as they make their way up into the Wicklow Mountains in the direction of Enniskerry for the first stage at Glencree.
With Austin's retirement, Bertie Fisher moves up into second place, but he's slowed in stage 22 when the light pod loosens. James Cullen and Ellen Morgan, they're up into third. And Bill Connolly is fourth, but an early morning puncture has delayed him.
One right into two right, maybe. 60. One right into six left.
Kenny McKinstry's Group N lead is over 2 minutes, so why doesn't he ease off to preserve it?
Two right.
We're in a rally, aren't we, is the Banbridge driver's jovial reply. Richard Smith is definitely hoping to make up places today in his Group A version. And here's the flying Trevor Cathers, who's 3.5 minutes ahead in his class in the Honda Civic. As dawn rises over the Sugarloaf Mountains, we move on to Glenasmole and foul weather. The rain has finally come for the four-wheel drive cars. It's an additional bonus for the two leaders. This looks more like the real Bertie Fisher, who takes full advantage with fastest time on this stage. For James Cullen, it's a disaster. You can count the seconds ticking away as he tries to get traction. Kenny McKinstry is now fourth in a fabulous drive. He's slipped past Bill Connolly. And here's Connolly, who's had those time-delaying punctures. Richard Smith is also in tire trouble, and he's a minute behind the BMW. David Maslin does not have that Irish handbrake technique, and he's complaining about a down-on-power engine. And again, these are the conditions that would have suited Paul Frankland much earlier in the event. It's fine, finished, slithery stuff for Scholberg, who is 9th and 3rd in Group N. Gus Kearney's copybook rally gets a little blot here. But the Tipperary company director is still a fabulous 11th overall. Ian Calvin must keep the pressure on. He's only 5 seconds ahead of class rival Roger Davis.
One right over a crest, 80 long, 3 right, maybe over a crest and 3 right. Good man. Well done. Could you see lights come behind you, no? I don't think it wasn't that bad.
Kenny McKinstry is now at the end of this 8-mile stage. It's been a good run, but he's been handicapped by two-wheel drive. They're keeping a close eye on the opposition's times. But that's not when the work ends for Robbie Philpott, who not only reads the pace notes, but also organises the whole complicated operation.
Against Colin 8:52. It's not too bad. Go ahead. Sumo 1 to 2 over. We're mobile off the stage now. We're making our way down towards you. Certain tyre change, over. And petrol as well, G, over.
On special stage 24 at Saggart, the conditions are appalling, and yet the enthusiasts still turn out to view the action. It's a day for raincoats and umbrellas, and four-wheel drive is also recommended. Bertie Fisher can't hope to catch McRae unless the young Scotsman has a major problem. James Cullen, on the other hand, is still chasing hard in an effort to grab Fisher's second place. Kenny McKinstry has closed to 5th in his Group N two-wheel drive Cosworth. The Calibre crew are more than 2.5 minutes ahead of their nearest Group N rival, David Maslin. But even though Group N is looking secure, Sierra is still taking a pounding over the bumpy roads.
2 right, here, 80. 1 right and turn 5 left, goes with you. 100.
Richard Smith could have been out of the rally on day 1, but instead he holds 6th place. Bill Connolly's BMW appears to be scrabbling to find some grip on the increasingly slippery stage. That could be down to tyre choice. The danger warning could refer to the treacherous conditions, but Mika Solberg's four-wheel drive Mitsubishi can handle it. Remarkably, Gus Kearney has two East Germans in his service crew. I wonder if the pace notes were in German too.
It's been quite slippy this morning. The 2 stages ago was very bad with the centre diff stopped working in the car, and it made the car really go all over the road in acceleration, so it was quite tricky. Bertie is 4.5 minutes behind now, so sometimes it's more of a problem than it's not, because we need just to try and keep the concentration up.
It's always difficult to go slowly. Easy to go fast, but very, very difficult to go slowly.
Well, you've sent him out from Blessington here. What was your message to him now?
Oh, just take it easy, play his own game, just feel easy about it all.
And you're confident, obviously, at this stage?
You're always confident until something goes wrong.
22-year-old Colin McRae has already been rallying for 4 years, yet in this branch of motorsport where experience is everything, it's a meteoric rise. Already he has won 4 national championships, and a circuit win would put him well on his way to his first international series. Bertie Fisher's dream of winning the BIF circuit looks like having to wait for another year. That Subaru is now 4.5 minutes ahead. James Cullen, who walks the financial tightrope to compete at all, truly deserves the chance to go right to the top. Here's one of the remaining battles. Connolly has moved back to 4th ahead of McKinstry, but that's as high as he's likely to go, as Cullen is 6 minutes ahead. Kenny McKinstry still has to keep a wary eye on Richard Smith, but Maslam, his Group N rival, is 3 minutes behind. Paul Franklin continues to lead the 2-litre Group A class, and this is Stephen Murphy, one of the new names in Irish international rallying. In only a short time he has risen to the top. But the Tegral Cosworth is very second-hand, and the Carlow man is struggling to get back in the top 10. Just outside the top 10, the Group N Honda Civic, testament to the quality of the car and its driver, Trevor Cathers. Aberdonian Phil Walker, in his Group N Mazda 323, is in 15th, and Roger Davis, despite a lack of any practice, is second in his class. Mark Higgins has been a naughty boy. Not only has he rolled the Suzuki, but he's damaged on his mum's side.
We've got a Tiger in our tank in this car, but unfortunately we have no case behind the wheel.
Where'd you get the haircut?
Right.
Just a few words.
I'm going to have another great victory this weekend, the mother of all rallying.
Back to the real business now. And with 26 of the 29 stages gone, Colin McRae's 4.5-minute lead looks impregnable. There are 3 Sierras in the top 5, including Kenny McKinstry's Group N version. 3 more Cosworths are included in the top 10, plus the little Peugeot of Paul Franklin and the Mitsubishi of Mika Solberg. Will it stay that way over the last few miles? Just 3 stages to go now, and the situation at the top seems unlikely to change.
Bertie, another day today. 3 to go. How is it looking now?
Yeah, well, nothing really has changed. We have probably taken about another 40-45 seconds from James Cullen this morning just to give ourselves a little bit of better cushion. There hasn't been a lot of difference between ourselves and Colin. We had a bit of an overshoot on the last stage there, which maybe cost us some time on some very shiny tar. But apart from that, it's been all reasonably smooth. We had a problem on the first stage out this morning with our spot lamp pod. The spot lamps were vibrating very badly and was knocking the concentration on the notes. But apart from that, it's just try and get it to the finish now.
And if you do it, it's looking like second place?
Yes, if we can hold our position, we'll finish second place, yeah.
James, this is looking like it could be your best finish in a rally at this level.
Yes, things are not so bad so far. Still a few stages to go, and the rally's never over till you're over the finish ramp, but so far so good. Things went basically according to plan. The plan to hang in around the top 3 or 4 and hope for the accidents to happen and things to happen up at the front. It happened to an extent, but we didn't do too bad, I think.
Mick, it seems you've been redesigning the front of your car.
Yeah, we had, in the second stage we went on slicks and we didn't have time to change them, and I just came downhill, it just didn't turn in, just bump a bit, but I designed every corner now, so it's a new design for Mitsubishi.
Colin, the management was telling us, it's just telling you to keep steady, and it's harder to go slow than it is to go fast. Has it been a difficult morning?
It's not so bad now. We've kind of geared ourselves down and we're just going to cruise through the last few stages, so it's no problem.
Nice position to be in, though.
It is, it's very nice. I just hope we can get back to the finish in this position.
Mondello Racetrack near Naas was to be the big spectator showpiece of the event. There is commentary, grandstands and even a circus on site. But the weather has put paid to the large crowds. For those who know Mondello, the course is a bit confusing as the rally leader takes us round. We start at Barham Bend, then turn off the circuit onto the rallycross course, now in the reverse direction.
4 left, tightens into.
We're back on the circuit again, travelling in the wrong direction, but heading down into the very fast left-hand and right-hand S's.
Crest and 3 left, tightens.
Up over the hill and down into Budweiser Bend, again in reverse.
200. Keep right for chicane.
And
Goes
now
left and
onto
right.
what would normally be the outward straight, but here there's a chicane.
Crest and 4 right.
Next is the reverse camber right-hander, air cell.
2 left plus. Opens.
And finally, the telecom hairpin.
200 to stop. Okay. All right. Pretty slippy out there.
That's an understatement from Derek Ringer. Rory Kennedy will be wrapping the Tough Mac team driver's knuckles for this one. Bertie eventually gets going, and it doesn't make any difference to the order. Bill Connolly is now in great form with the BMW. After all, these cars started their competition lives on racetracks. And talking about starting competition lives, racetracks are nothing new to Richard Smith either, as he started his competition career in karts.
2 left, maybe over bumps, 80. Right over crest, 40, turn hairpin right.
The battle for Group N has seen a commanding performance from Kenny McKinstry and Robbie Philpott. They lead their group by an incredible 5 minutes and are 5th overall.
3 right, 100.
Throughout the afternoon, they've been having a real tussle with Bill Connolly for 4th place.
Left into caution, 3 right and 5 over jump. Into long 2 left, maybe. Into flat crest, 100.
Connolly in the more powerful BMW M3 dropped a lot of time earlier in the day, but has fought back to edge ahead of the Cosworth crew. Coming up now, a rare mistake from McKinstry on a very slippery junction.
40, turn 6 left to gravel. Towards you. Okay.
No harm done there, but any chance of pulling back Connolly's 20-second lead has now gone. That won't worry the County Down crew, however. The Group N victory was the important thing.
40, 4 right. 100. Crest into 4 left, maybe.
It's been another fine display from the two-wheel drive Sierra in very difficult conditions.
But there are other rallies within the rally. Tommy MacDonald is the national winner, and Ryan Powley and Bones O'Connor lead a host of delectable historic cars home. And so to the final chapter in this thriller. But this isn't fiction, it's rallying history, as Colin registers the McRae name as the circuit winner for the 8th time. For Bertie Fisher and Rory Kennedy, second is an excellent result after a rally filled with problems. James Cullen and Ellen Morgan will be delighted with third place. Bill Connolly and Tom Meany's perseverance has paid off with a fine 4th place. And then we have King Kenny, the Group N winner, who also now shares the overall Dunlop Championship with McHale and Colin McRae. Richard Smith and Michael Reed get their first circuit finish in 6th position. David Maslam and Andrew Balfour are 7th and 2nd in Group N. And Paul Franklin and Keith Chipchase bring the Peugeot home in 8th place. Mikko Solberg and Brian Thomas are 9th, but more importantly, for them they are 3rd in Group N, which means they retain their Shell Championship category. Completing the top 10, Bob Fowden and Jerry Hines, who are 4th in Group N.
As the winners make their triumphant way through the Dunleary crowds to the finish ramp, what of the driver who had started with such high hopes and ended with bitter disappointment? Austin McHale tonight issued a statement saying he felt deeply aggrieved by the 30-minute time penalty he'd been given after last night's accident, but for the good of rallying would make no further protest and would be back to win next year. But this year, the Diamond Jubilee Circuit has a new victor with a familiar name. The McRae legend begins a new chapter as son Colin takes over where 7 times winner Jimmy left off.
And we will allow the television people to do their interviews and keep quiet for a second. Thank you.
Colin McRae, the latest in a family line, and really, I suppose there's no argument with 4 minutes and 41 seconds.
No, it's we've had a really good rally, no big problems, and we've been quite lucky to stay in the road.
Your dad won it, what, as recently as 2 years ago, and now you've carried on this family tradition. Was it talked about a lot in the home? Did it mean a great deal to you to actually win this event?
No, it wasn't really talked an awful lot about. It's always good to win an event, and any event really.
Now, he's not here to see you today, but I dare say you've been on the phone to whoever can pass on the message to let him know that you've done it.
Well, he's actually coming back tonight. He was doing a race today, but he's coming back over. He'll be back over to the celebrations later on.
We felt from this morning confident. We just slowed down. Really from the start we've been fairly confident, but obviously it's possibly the most difficult event in the championship, and it's very unforgiving if you do make a slight error, but we managed to get away with everything this weekend.
Well, I want to give the final word to the man who was behind the wheel the whole way and carrying on a very proud McRae tradition, Colin. How does it feel?
A bit of relief, really, that's the main thing. I'm glad we're here.
And these are the facts and figures that will enter the record books tonight. Colin McRae and Derek Ringer convincing winners in their Subaru legacy. That margin again, 4 minutes and 41 seconds. Bertie Fisher and James Cullen battling it out for second place, but really no doubt about who was going to get there in the end. And another great dice between Bill Connolly and Kenny McKinstry. Kenny's best ever circuit, and the most important award for him, the Group N class. That top 10 includes 5 Irishmen. What a brave drive by Richard Smith to bring his Sierra into 6th place, despite the problems he had early on. And just off that leaderboard, Stephen Murphy and Gus Carney. What a good rally it's been for the Irish. But what of the circuit itself? It faces an uncertain future as it begins its 61st year. For as you've heard, there's no sponsor, and finding a new one might prove a difficult task, given that it's no longer part of the British Open Championship. We can only hope that the Circuit of Ireland retains some of its former greatness. But one thing is for certain, we've seen a new great in action. Colin McRae winning convincingly his first circuit, and so carrying on a famous family tradition. We've certainly enjoyed bringing you rally reports over the past few evenings and hope that you have enjoyed our coverage too. So from all of us who've followed the Circuit of Ireland from start to finish, to you, goodbye.